Killer Bee is attacked by the combined might of Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki. Will he be able to rap his way out of this situation? I hope you guys are ready for an epic build-up episode, because that's what you're going to get in this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, which was a pretty solid addition to the series, which for the most part continues to be an exact adaptation of the movie, albeit with some minor differences. I do like the fact that we get to see all of the various teams training for the upcoming Chunin exam. Not to mention we get the awesome scene where Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki battle against Killer Bee. We actually don't even get to see this battle in the movie version. We just get to see the actual aftermath of it. So getting to finally see that here and getting to see more dialogue from Killer Bee is really fantastic. That and the fact that honestly Urashiki, a character who never existed in the movie to begin with, is adding so much more to this arc right here. While he's mostly the master of exposition and explaining things to Momoshiki and Kinshiki, I still can't wait to see more of what this guy is going to be capable of. Not to mention his overall relationship with Momoshiki seems very interesting. In fact, I think the best thing about this arc so far is how they're actually building up these villains and making them seem all the more important. They're way more crazier than the villains that we've actually seen from the series thus far. And we actually get to learn that Kaguya apparently was cultivating all of this chakra so that she could give it to these guys. But she decided to keep it for herself, build her very own personal White Zetsu army, and try to fight back against her celestial cousins. It's pretty interesting, and I can't wait to learn a little bit more about the history of the Otsutsuki clan, if only for the fact that they're incredibly interesting and that they transcend freaking space, time, and all sorts of crazy dimensions. The overall shot of them getting ready to actually go to Earth is awesome. They're actually hanging out outside the atmosphere, and there's just something so freaking awesome about that. I think it's really cool. That and the fact that they learn a little bit more about the history of this world, how the chakra tree was divided into the Bijou, and how there are now Jinchuriki, and they're immediately going after them, and that's what leads us to that Killer Bee scene, which is all sorts of awesome. I especially love that we get to see how Killer Bee in his massive eight-tail form gets pinned against this wall. Initially, Momoshiki hits him with these two chakra rods which fly out of his hand, and when he realizes that Killer Bee just knocks that away, he just fires hundreds of them at him, which causes him to get completely pierced against the walls, and then he tries to hit him with a Bijou bomb, but that's when we learn that Momoshiki can actually absorb attacks and send them back at the opponents with twice the amount of power, or maybe even more so. He's got these weird red renegons in the palm of his hands that look all sorts of freaking wicked. I absolutely love it. Basically what I'm trying to say is the brand new villains of this series are absolutely chewing the scenery, and just it's really fun to see them in action. The rest of the episode, however, is pretty much exactly what you would expect, with all of the characters going under some training and trying to pump themselves up for the upcoming Chunin exam. There's a lot of scenes here which never actually existed in the movie, and they're doing a great job of actually building up all of these teams, in particular the ones that had zero development at all in the movies. Even the new characters like Iwabe and Denki, and then teamed up with Metal Lee, like that's stuff that we never saw in the movie. We saw Metal Lee, but we really didn't get to see like his other companions. Sumire's team is also really fun to watch, as she's clearly the most mature member of the group and has some dark sensibilities about her, which are really funny, but also are a great excuse just to laugh for how over the top she is and how she freaks out her teammates. Really, we just get to see everyone working together and getting stronger. Even the brand new generation of Ino Shikacho. We have a great scene of Inoichi and Shikadai and Chocho training with Tamari, which is great. And of course, she just makes an absolute fool out of all of them. And it's a great segue to bring up Gaara again, because we travel to the Hidden Sand Village. We get to see that Gaara is getting ready to send off his team, including his son, Shinki, who has an incredibly awesome design. I love it. It seems like he has some sort of like that magnetic, like black sand which is going around his entire body, almost like a cloak. He's got these face paint on his face, which is very similar to Kankuro. In very many ways, he's kind of like a combination of those two characters. He also just comes across as very cold, dark, and callous, which makes sense. And also, I'm not sure if it's made official in this episode or not, but Gaara might be the Jinchuriki of Shukaku again. Either that or he's found a way to actually communicate with him, but the implication is that he is secretly a Jinchuriki again, and maybe that's just in an effort to actually protect Shukaku, and now they're actually on much better speaking terms. And seeing him talk with Shukaku in this episode was so weird, because every single time we saw Shukaku in the past, he was either just a big, raging, crazy monster, and then he started to come around towards the end of the series, and I like seeing this side of him, but he still manages to have his weird, loud, shrieking laugh, which I really love, which almost seems like it doesn't fit with his character, but still, I love the design of Shukaku. But the reason that Gaara is actually talking to him is because he sensed a disturbance in the Force. Basically, he's linked to the other Jinchuriki, such as the Nine Tails and the Eight Tails, and when Killer Bee started to get attacked and have all of his chakra absorbed, well, he knew that immediately something was wrong and that Gaara should probably look into this. The rest of the episode, though, is basically Boruto training with Sasuke, trying to go through that typical kunai and shuriken training where you can throw like 2 at a time and they can like reflect them off of each other to hit targets, which I always thought was insane, but it's always been sort of like the specialty of Sasuke and Itachi, so it makes sense that we're seeing it here. But Boruto's having a really hard time doing it, and he's also tempted to cheat now that he has that freaking ninja technology gauntlet, which it looks like he's definitely going to be using in the Chunin exam, and that Chunin exam is coming up in the next episode. So what's the rundown on this episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? Basically the movie with some brand new material sprinkled in, but that new material does a great job of actually making me give a shit about these characters. When I was watching the movie version, while I saw all these characters, I thought they were interesting. I just didn't know anything about them. There was zero development for them, and considering that the movie came out before the anime Shippuden even finished, it made it seem all the stranger. But now that we have the manga version and we're like 50 plus episodes into Boruto, I find myself caring a lot more about what's actually going on. That and the fact that they're doing a great job of actually expanding on the actual story itself. And it's little things, like just seeing the teams work together, seeing their motivation, adding a brand new villain who seems like he has a complex relationship with the main villain of this arc. We could see some really big surprises here. I mean, this is even different from the manga version, which also managed to make some changes to that arc as well. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to shake things up. Not to mention just, I want to know more about the Otsutsuki clan. Like, that whole little throwaway line with Urashiki talking about Momoshiki and referring to him as a boy and everything, and it's something about that is really intriguing, and the fact that these villains have the ability to travel just about anywhere and have near godlike power immediately makes them interesting. And a trio is way better than 2 villains, and they all have very distinctive personalities, with Momoshiki being the default sort of haughty leader, and Kinshiki being all of the muscle, and Urashiki being somewhere in between. He almost comes across as a Starscream-esque character, like he almost seems like he has his very own motivation. I can't wait to see what that's going to be, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with him and who he's actually going to fight in the series. Basically, I'm really hyped for everything that I'm seeing right here. Again, very similar to the movie. They're either taking those scenes from the film and slightly altering them, or they're quite literally reanimating them exactly the way they are. They're not verbatim exactly the same thing at all, but still, a lot of the times they look almost identical. Obviously, the Killer Bee scene was a little different in the fact that we have black chakra rods which pinned Killer Bee against the wall, whereas in the movie it was the weapons that Kinshiki used, the glowing red chakra weapons, and which I thought was visually more appealing, but still I like this one. It showed Momoshiki showing a more proactive role in going after the gold, so to speak. I really did enjoy that scene. That and Boruto makes it painfully clear that yes, he is going to be doing the Chunin exam. There's a great moment between him and Sarada and Mitsuki where they all declare that they're going to go into the Chunin exam and they're going to give it their all. Really, this was just a big build-up episode, and to be honest, I'm kind of surprised we're already going into the Chunin exam, but if the preview for the next episode is any indication, they're going to make some big changes, big new introductions, and hopefully develop some of these brand new characters, as be prepared, there's going to be a ton of them coming up. And if there was one part of this arc that they could expand on the most, it's going to be the Chunin exam. So let's just strap ourselves in for excitement. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this one. This episode right here, while it is a retread of many of the movie events, does have enough new material, and for people who've never seen it before, I can't imagine how you're just not hyped over some of the stuff you're seeing, especially with the introduction of new villains and the Chunin exam getting ready to happen. It's an exciting time to be a fan of the series, and that's why I'm giving this episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Boruto fans. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Make sure to tell me in the comment section below. What did you think of this week's episode, the new scenes that they added? How are you digging the new villain, Urashiki? Do you have any theories as to what he's going to do or who he's going to fight against in this arc? Has Killer Bee officially been defeated? Is Gaara really the Jinchuriki of Shukaku again? Let's start a discussion in the comment section, guys. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.